money doesn't matter. I think if you want to actually like work on something, sure, work on your humor. When guys ask me about just talking to women in general, it's like they don't even know how to laugh. They don't even know what their humor is. It's very interesting. Like
Really?
they'll watch a comedy special or something and never laugh. And girls love funny people.
You definitely don't need to be having a bunch of money to be making yourself desirable to the other gender. You would be alarmed at how much making money actually does not help that situation at all. Providing money isn't hot to most people. You just feel you're making the girl feel like a commodity.
Yeah.
You're making her feel purchased, which isn't sexy. It doesn't feel good. When you're making her laugh, when you're making her feel sexual, that's when she's gonna want you.
Alexi said, how do you guys handle conflict between each other?
The best advice for dealing with conflict in your relationship is learn how not to get angry. Because once you are angry, you're basically drunk. You do not have any sense left when you're angry. You're under the influence of an extremely powerful hormone. You're not going to say any of the right things. You're not going to communicate your point. You're not even going to know what you're upset about. You're just going to be mad and you're going to be looking for ways to express that anger.
But also just actually sitting down and talking about it. You have to be able to actually handle the conflict and like talk through it. And you talk about it too. It's like being aware a little bit of what the other person is feeling as well.
Yeah.
And not just being super in your emotions and in your feelings and just kind of riling yourself up.
Also, there's a really good book, I think, that helps you deal with conflict with your partner and just with anyone. I've definitely talked about it on this podcast before, but the Loving What Is, it really just unties all of the judgments that you have towards other people, and it just allows you to see where they're coming from. But if you're angry, you're not going to be able to do that.
Yeah, I think it's a big thing to see where they're coming from and try to like really picture what they're feeling, because most of the time if you're in a relationship, that other person is not just out to hurt you. You know, it's not like he or she is thinking, I want this to be bad. They're just either not in control or too angry to think.
Yeah.
You know?
Which is the other part about being too angry. You're not focused on the objective, which is let's have a good relationship. Your objective is let out my anger. So you both have to decide, is that your objective in the relationship?
So Gifted said, how do you make them fear losing you after you've had their baby? They don't believe I can move on.
Do you believe that you can move on? Is the big question, because I think it really doesn't matter. Plenty of people leave relationships even though that they've had children together.
Yeah, and our advice about, you know, making them fear losing you, it's not so much like this manipulation tactic of getting someone to fear that. It's more so just like an internal thing where you need to actually feel good being happy by yourself. That's when they're really going to start. They're going to start to just subconsciously feel it. It's not this thing of like, oh, she's putting herself out there or something. It's just like, oh, she's actually happy. And it seems like it's independent of me. She's just happy. So it doesn't even have to get to the point where they have to have that fear. It's more so just like your vibe will change when you can actually be happy without another person.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jane said, how do you deal with retroactive jealousy of your partner's past?
You cannot.
You can't.
You just can't. You cannot be that way.
Yeah. It should be a clean slate. People's past really don't matter. So, I don't know if you're saying that he's jealous of your past, because that's a huge problem. Nowadays, there's a lot of men. They're looking at women's past and shaming them for it, calling them all kinds of things. And it's like when you get with someone, like that's new. Like you weren't part of their life before.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like you were around and they were doing something to you. They weren't. It's their past, period. So I don't know about the flip side of that.
Yeah, because I was in a relationship with someone who always made me feel like my past was something to be ashamed of. And I never felt that way. I absolutely did not feel that way at all. I mean, I had a good time. I was in my 20s and even younger. It got to a point where I realized that he just doesn't like who I am. Because if someone is so concerned about your past and feels that it's shameful, they really probably also don't like who you are.
Yeah, and another thing about it is like it all comes down to insecurity. And I think guys like look at it in a very weird way, and we could go into this in another subject, but talking about like body counts and all that stuff.
I was gonna say.
Because it's like, honestly, all you have to think about is how many times a girl turns down a guy. Like, guys are not out here just like batting away women, but girls are out here batting away men.
Yeah.
every time they leave the house pretty much. And then it's just like, oh, your body count is 5. How dare you?
Yeah, like I turned down 500.
Exactly.
I mean, my feeling on jealousy in general is that it's never a legitimate emotion. I feel that it's a word that's thrown around for feelings that are much more nuanced than the actual feeling of jealousy.
Carlette said, how to deal with toxic family members always putting you down during holiday season dinners.
I actually just saw this TikTok where this girl was like, if someone says something to you that's, you know, out of pocket, basically say to them, it's so weird of you to say that to me. They're going to crumble. What are they going to do? Oh, it's so weird that you would say that to me. What are they going to say? I think it's kind of perfect.
Yeah, maybe you could do that.
But also just realize that family cannot be helped. People are just weird and you just have these people that you didn't choose. Just collect it to joke with your friends about later.
Yeah, you just got to ignore it. You can't help family. Carlette said, I guess about her family, thinking about not talking to any of them for a few years and then changing my number. What do you think?
I mean, you do have to understand that there's an emotional toll that goes along with that too.
Yeah.
I have a friend that stopped talking to his father because his dad was very draining. And granted, that was probably the best thing he could do. But then it turned out that his dad was dying and he didn't know about it because his dad was never being honest with the family about what was going on. And his dad passed away before they ever resolved anything. Unless you are ready for that to happen, then maybe don't cut them off.
Yeah.
Unless you want to just make your peace with them and then do that. And if you're okay with it, all right. But there's definitely ways to remain in people's lives with setting as many boundaries as you can and also setting the emotional boundaries for yourself where you just are not emotionally affected by it. You just look at it like this is a movie. This is like a stupid rom-com type of thing where the family is obnoxious. That's why they make movies like that, because it's true.
From it for sure, yeah. But you know, at the end of the day, your peace is more important. So.
Absolutely.
Steph said, how to get over a narcissist who has manipulated me into believing I will never get anything better.
That is exactly what they do, isn't it? Just realize that he's textbook. This is textbook narcissism. So do not take this seriously.
This happens all the time to a lot of women from these psychos that like big themselves up, make them seem like they're God walking on earth. Even just with little things like, oh, like talking about how you look or, you know, literally saying to you, you're not going to do better than me. We've heard it all, but it's all the same. It's like the same person.
Just realize, and honestly, some women do this. I've only encountered one that did it and I decided I don't like her anymore. We've talked about this. She didn't do it to me.
Okay.
But she has done it to a friend of ours and I found that it was just very...
grimy.
It's just without class to be doing that. But recognize if anyone ever does that to you, realize that it is because they are massively insecure. They are so insecure and so unhappy with themselves that they are willing to make you feel bad about yourself. It's just not a good person. If anyone says that, you can immediately do better than them. Yeah. Because they're worthless.
100%. No person that is actually like has any value in their life and isn't also insecure is talking that way. Yeah. As narcissistic as they are, to do something like that comes from a deep insecurity. To be able to like talk down to another person, especially someone that you're with. Yeah.
That you supposedly love.
Yeah. Because it's like, what are you saying about yourself at that point? It's like, oh, you're not going to do better than me. So, you know,
so who are you with,
why are you with me?
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. I would just say, you know, just realize that this is just a thing that these dudes do. Yeah.
And the other thing to realize about narcissists is that they generally are not very confident. It's always that they are constantly trying to craft this idea of who they are. So you wanting to leave them makes them fear that their image that they've created of themselves is breaking down. So they will grasp at anything. They will say anything to you to rebuild that image in your eyes because it's all about how other people see them.
Yeah. Joshua said she said no spark after 5 dates. Was there something I could have done / said wrong or just no connection?
It's definitely possible that you guys just didn't connect.
Yeah, 100%.
There's someone like I could think of so many friends I have that we have such different taste in people. We would each be disgusted by each other's pick and who we're attracted to. I've
Right.
never had a friend almost ever that was attracted to the same person as me.
That's interesting.
I think for men, maybe it's different.
Yeah, but I mean, as far as like a spark, I mean, you could have the spark. Sometimes it's just like instant. Like with me and her, like it was pretty instant. Yeah, she was looking at me with like puppy dog eyes the day we met. But there's been situations where like, you know, you don't have a spark and then it ends up being something, you know, as you get to
Very
know them a
true.
little more. But it's all, you know, very, I don't know. It's very dependent. But if she says she feels no spark, I don't know if it's after 5 dates. I don't know if it's something that you should continue to pursue because
Yeah.
you probably just want to.
But there are definitely some things. Like, I know you have advice for guys on how to be communicating with women to.
Yeah. Because she said, was there something I could have done / said wrong? It's possible. It just depends on how you if you put yourself out there genuinely, like completely genuinely, and I'm not talking genuine as in you're taking clips from what you've seen online or something. I'm talking about your genuine self. And then she says that there's no spark. Then there was no spark. Then you did everything that you could do. But hopefully that's what you're doing and you're not going based off of you know, some kind of plan that you have in your mind.
Yeah. Or also, I think a lot of times guys are very focused on the outcome of the situation and not in a good way where they have an intention for how it's going to go and they're living from that state where they really assume that that's how it's going to go. But it's more from a place where they're worried that it's not going to lead where they want it to go. So if you're doing that, then you're absolutely not going to be able to be yourself. So if you notice that you maybe felt not yourself, or if you felt that you were a little nervous in these situations, then yeah, there's definitely things that you can do moving forward to alleviate that and bring your true self out.
Yeah. Renee said, how to deal with a husband telling you he doesn't see the spark in you anymore. He means that he doesn't feel like I'm going anywhere in my life and he wants a divorce. Wow. That's different. Go on.
I don't know about this guy.
Just accept the divorce.
I don't know. I don't really like
Eddie.
this guy. Do you think that maybe he's saying that as an excuse to try and put something on you because he's feeling like he wants to step out on the marriage?
Also, is he going anywhere in his life? Like, what is he doing that you're not doing?
And why does he care?
Yeah. Is it like a money thing? Because that always, like, that's so crazy to me. When I remember when you put out that video about like women being, you know, women are called lazy all the time because of the different energy levels. And there's all these women saying like, oh yeah, my man calls me lazy for not getting up at 7 a.m. And it's like,
why do you care?
Yeah.
There's plenty of men in the world who are willing to take care of a woman and allow them to work at their own pace and not decide that their woman should be the breadwinner in the situation or that their woman needs to be doing something and making something of their life. That's not what life is about. Life is to be happy. Now, I understand if you're with someone and they're unhappy and you're kind of feeling the brunt of that. Because if you are, and this kind of ties into be happy regardless of your partner, which is what else I wanted to talk about it. If you are putting the burden of happiness on your partner, if you are making it so your partner is the reason that you're unhappy, that can be extremely exhausting.
Yeah.
So if it's the case that he feels maybe that you're not happy and you're putting that on him, that could be a reason that he wants you to do something because he wants you to focus on something else. But
I mean, that's your question. You know, that's a question for you. Aspen, about the guy saying he fantasizes about other girls. Aspen said, fiance says he fantasizes about other girls.
You have to definitely be the type of girl who can hack it. A man being honest about that. Guys are, men are men. You kind of have to realize that if they're attracted to you, it's because they're attracted to women. And he might be saying it to you. There's a lot of different reasons he could be saying it to you. It depends. If he's a generally good guy and he's saying that, it might be because he thinks that that is going to be attractive to you and you're going to play off of that. If he generally manipulates you and makes you feel less about yourself, then he could be saying it in order to make you not feel good about yourself.
Yeah,
hopefully
in
it's
what
not
context did he bring this up? Because that's a big thing.
Yeah.
Because honestly, in my personal opinion, I don't think he should be saying it at all.
Fantasizing is kind of
it's a little wild.
Is a little much, but unless you guys were having a conversation about you know.
And is it other girls that you know, or is it like people like celebrities or something?
Yeah.
After an argument about how he does not listen to me, he brought this up. Yeah, okay. Yeah, in that situation, I would just tell him that you're fantasizing about other guys and see what happens.
You're fantasizing about, wait, what was the argument about?
About how he doesn't listen.
Okay. Yeah. Tell him that you fantasize about guys who listen to you.
Yeah, just start watching like Magic Mike or something in front of him.
Yes. Ugh, guys like that.
It's wild.
I really can't. This is when I like, that's like one of those videos that I had about men don't bring up what they're unhappy about. They wait until you bring up what you're upset about to say what they're upset about. So you say, oh, you don't listen. And he says, well, I fantasize about other women.
It's like, great.
Cool.
This is moving us forward in
okay,
life,
yeah. I feel like you definitely don't listen because I'm talking about you not listening and you're talking about other women.
Yeah.
So way to prove my point. That's what you should tell him, is like, thank you for absolutely proving my point. Because clearly all you're thinking about, oh, I guess that's the problem. You're just fantasizing about other women. That's why you can't hear anything.
Yeah, it's wild. But that's not okay.
No, I don't listen to any of that then. I mean, it's one thing. Okay, if he's not a total manipulator, fine. Have a conversation with him about it. Some guys just can't, they just don't bring things up because they're afraid to. But once they, okay, here's what it is. Because this is what they always say in the comments. Men don't bring up what they're upset about because they are afraid of starting an argument. But once you've already started the argument and things are already not pleasant, he feels like, well, here's a great time to tell her that I like other girls because she's already upset with me. So I'm not ruining anything.
Or anything else. They'll bring up everything. I mean, that's exactly how it works. It's like men don't want to be the initiators of the argument because they feel like it's better to not have the argument and just like have it in the back of their minds forever. But yeah, as soon as it's bad, it's like, oh, okay, can't get any worse. So let me just go for it.
Yeah, but meanwhile, women are not afraid to bring it up because women know that bringing up what you're upset about is the only way to move forward.
It seems so logical when you think about it, right?
Does it not?
Yeah. What are the early signs of dating a narcissist?
They definitely don't show it early. It starts to take a while. Like, I would say it might even take a month, but maybe one of the first signs is them avoiding you at times because they are not able to perform that day.
Interesting.
That was, to me, my first sign that something is off. Like, we would have plans to hang out, and then he would be really just not following up on it. I'd be the one that was kind of pushing it forward, and then sometimes we wouldn't get together. I'd wait for hours. And what was going on, I think, is that he was kind of depressed and doing pills or something and not wanting to drive to pick me up like he said he was going to, and just not able to be the wealthy, successful, happy level guy that he pretended to be. I'd say it really starts with a gut feeling that you're like, this person is pretending.
Yeah, and it's also like a lot of, you know, as far as early signs, it's like depending on how much they talk about themselves. That's a big one.
Some of them are really good at not doing that, though. That's what's crazy.
True, but that's also like a manipulator. Like a regular narcissist doesn't really do that.
Yeah. That
much. They're not aware enough to act empathetic. You know. But if someone has like a serious lack of empathy, that's a clear sign. Cassie said, when we were arguing, my boyfriend believes that it is okay for him to call me names, and it's my fault then that he gets mad and angry.
Okay, yeah, I talked about this last time actually too. When someone treats you like it's your fault that they are angry, they are manipulating you. It's straight out of this book, Games People Play. It's a pattern of behavior that they use to manipulate people, whether they are conscious of it or not. Sometimes it's because of how they were raised. People in their family might have done that to them, so they learn that behavior. It's not acceptable. I would say show this to them. Maybe look at the book, Games People Play. You can probably actually just go on ChatGPT and just ask about the book Games People Play when they're blaming you for making them mad because it's a specific type of game. I don't exactly remember what it's called. Maybe I'll do more of a, video on it so I can remember what it was. But it's not okay.
It's not okay. It's not okay. If you guys are arguing and he's coming at you for like causing the argument, it's one thing that you said before. It's like people argue for different reasons, right? Some people are arguing to try to mitigate the situation, and some people are arguing just to argue. And when you get into name calling and getting that angry, then there's no conversation anymore. Now you're just shouting at each other, and that's not your fault. It's something that's happening inside him that's causing that. You shouldn't take it seriously, and you should ask him in those situations, what is it that's making you get to that level, you personally, because it can't be you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you do also want to avoid, like, we all do have to be aware of how we're treating other people and what we're doing to instigate other people. And if you really feel like you're not doing much, sometimes what you need to do is talk to your partner about what specific things you say that triggers them, because we really don't all know. I think I've said it in the past, but like, for instance, it's so dumb. Like when I get on the phone with my mom, if I say, "What's up?" She's like, "Why are you talking to me like that?" For some reason, that triggers her. Not like she goes off on me or something.
And her mom is like the nicest person.
She's the nicest person, but it just makes her upset for some reason. So you just have to learn each other's, triggers.
As stupid as it is.
Yeah.
Like me and her argue when we're setting up furniture.
Yeah.
And we know it's a trigger.
Yeah.
So like when we're setting up anything, not just furniture, when we're setting up anything, we're just like, oh, okay. Like,
let's be really,
this is getting tense.
Yeah. No, after we learned that, I started being really nice when I'm like, make sure you say this in the nicest way possible, instead of talking to him like he's an idiot.
Yeah, you're working on it. You're almost there.
I'm almost there.
You just sound condescending when you do that now.
Yeah. But you do too.
Hey, you don't know how to set things up. Neva said she's so pretty.
Oh, thank you. So last time he was like, "Oh, people were saying I'm beautiful," and I was like, "I swear, I'm shutting this whole thing down."
Joshua said, beautifully said, "Thanks, guys." Bosma said, "I just want to say thank you for existing. I really needed to hear all of these, especially right now."
Oh, that's awesome.
That's why you do it.
I'm happy to exist too. It's pretty good. No, and thank you guys, by the way, because we really like doing this. So thank you guys for being here.
Me and my recent partner reach a point where we can't have a peaceful conversation. It's just draining. Yeah, I think this is like similar to what you just talked about.
It's
like,
definitely when I'm going to assume there's a lot of built up resentment there that has not been resolved. And you guys really need to sit separately and really think about all the things about the other person that you're still holding on to. And it can be something small. And sometimes it could just be that you guys have gotten into a pattern of speaking to each other not in a nice way, because it's really easy to do. Like we were saying, you be setting up furniture and it's just like, why did you put that there? It's easy to be that way, and it immediately ruins all the romance. Things could have been great, and just with that one phrase, just with that one little attitude, you could have potentially ruined the entire relationship if you don't know how to undo that.
Yeah, for sure.
If you don't apologize for talking in that way, it's going to build up and build up and build up. It's like dust in your relationship, and if you don't clear it out, if the other person doesn't apologize, if you're not apologizing to each other, if you don't clear the air,
it's tough. It's consistent work, I mean, look at the way she talks. It's hard.
Everyone says I'm so condescending because I'll say things like in these, in the stuff that's in like TikTok and Instagram and everything. Just look at the comments, because I'm not saying anything so insane. I'm really not. But the way I say it, triggering.
Yeah, they can't handle it.
They can't handle it. He can handle it.
I can handle it.
Because they're not even seeing the expression. That's the other thing, because men cannot pick up on the body language. So they don't see that I'm smiling. I'm saying, I know that the way I'm saying it is slightly offensive.
It's not even offensive. I feel like they just can't stand hearing a woman speak the way you do.
Yes.
And speak in a smart way, because some of the comments are like, oh, yeah, who does she think she is? She's the smartest woman in the world. Why does she act like she knows everything? Like, all right, relax, bro.
I guess that's another thing. But yeah, anyway, you just really have to get down to it with your partner and find out especially if it's a man, getting them to tell you what they have been resentful of.
Yeah.
Pulling teeth. You have to literally tell them, take a week and really think about all the things that you're upset about and you're not saying, because they never say it.
Elizabeth said, my ex broke up with me after 11 years, and my son and I are so heartbroken and going through it.
That's terrible.
That is terrible.
Honestly, I think like I always say, you gotta meditate. You have to, because that's the only thing that makes anything that's bad
Yeah.
not even matter anymore.
Yeah.
Because your happiness has nothing to do with the external at all. It is literally just a biological experience. It's just hormones. So once you're able to detach from the thoughts that are going on about the situation, you're just going to feel happy.
You're going to feel better, yeah.
And the reason I ask your son's age is because I've had patients in the past meditate with their kids. A lot of times because they can't get alone time and they say, oh, my kid's too young, but the kid is old enough to meditate. And it's really good to put your kid onto that early, especially, the kid is going through it. This is a really good time for them to learn how to manage their emotions.
And to kind of listen to their thoughts, right? Because especially in these like very troubling situations, you have a lot of negative self-talk that's going on that you're probably not even aware of, and what that's going to do, what the meditation is going to do is just help you see that, help you identify that, and then also kind of like work your way through it. Because right now it's just a jumbled mess that's constant.
Yeah, because you might be thinking it's my fault that he left, or I'm never going to be happy again, things like that. You need to be aware if you are talking to yourself like that, and your child needs to be aware if they're talking to themselves that way. One thing like my mom had said to me in the past is talk to yourself the way that you would talk to your child. So that might be a really good way for you to look at it because you have a kid who's going through exactly what you are going through. So what would you say to them to make them feel better? You should be talking to yourself in the same way.
For sure. What do you think about a couple working together?
A couple working together, kind of like we were talking about with building furniture, it can be bad if you do not know how to communicate with each other in a really nice and respectful way. There's so many opportunities for you guys to be nasty to each other because
like the same job, she's saying. So
yeah.
Go on.
What?
This happened to me one time, so I know the answer to this. I would never do it. I almost got it was like one of my first jobs, and I met the girl at the job, and she decides that when we broke up, she decided she's gonna quit and try to take me down with her, and she just walked around just literally yelling in the office. It was wild.
Yeah, that's not great. I had a situation where I was working with my boyfriend and nobody knew. So the girls would always be flirting with him and I would be livid the entire time, but I couldn't say anything. So that was the worst situation. And then we would try and go on vacation at the same time. We both got fired because of it. Oh no, I just got fired because of it. If you can't avoid it, just learn how to talk to each other nicely.
Bosma said, how can I start healing from all the wrongs that people did to me? Men in parentheses.
I'm gonna say it again.
Yeah.
Gotta meditate.
It's the meditation.
Because that basically what's going on is you have memories of what's happening and then you have beliefs about yourself based on those experiences that you've had. What I would say is ask yourself what's wrong. Like, what did this person do? Like, what did I take away from this? Why do I feel bad because of what happened? And if it's something that it has changed the way you feel about yourself, then the only way to change that is to shed light on that belief and then start to pick that apart. In addition to meditation, part of that is actually cognitive behavioral therapy, which is observing the thought and then kind of asking questions about that thought and eventually changing it so you have a more positive belief system about it.
You say this all the time. It's also about like getting back to who you were before all of that stuff happened. I think that's a really, really powerful thing. When you're thinking about those situations, you got to remember who you were before those situations changed you. And, getting back to that confidence and whatever you had, before that happened to you is very important.
It's important and it's really hard because it did happen and you can't just all of a sudden have amnesia. Mm-hmm. So you really have to dive into it and think of a specific memory of before all this and how you felt. And honestly, maybe you didn't even feel that good before that. So that's an opportunity to realize that there's a lot of changes that can be made for you to be happier. But yeah, really, really dive into what's going on mentally because it's nothing that can't be changed. And also, if these people did something to harm you, you don't want to give them that satisfaction.
That's interesting.
Yeah, like you're going to let them ruin your life? You're going to let them make you unhappy? Absolutely not.
Yeah, anger might be a little bit better than sadness in that situation.
Yeah, be pissed that they did that. Yeah. From there, let that be your motivation to turn it around, to erase it.
Yeah. Lexi said it's always putting together furniture or moving big items around the house. Yep, for sure. Kyla said, thank you for affirming my thoughts on triggers. Renee said, yes, he always calls me lazy. Yep, absolutely.
I really don't like guys like that. Go into that video I have. I have more comments from men on Instagram on that one. Go to the one, I think it's like 16 million. I think I have it pinned. The one where I'm talking about the difference between
the energy levels of women and men.
Yeah.
Like the testosterone boost in the morning. But it's one thing, just to, like, her videos are really good because...
I meant the comment section.
Oh, the comment section.
I'm saying look at the comment section of that, and you're going to see all the women who are in the exact same position as you.
Oh, yeah.
And all the men who are talking so nasty, and you're going to be like,
yeah,
I don't want to be with that guy.
There's a lot of validation from women coming in through her comment section, and then you just see the dredges of society as well talking about, like, you should be better. Like, that's just an excuse.
Yeah.
Men don't have any biological advantage. It's so ridiculous because it's the same people that are talking about, oh, like, women are weaker.
Yeah.
And at the same time, it's like, no, we don't.
No, it's so hypocritical and just nasty. But the thing is that if you are with someone who treats you that way, it's going to drain your motivation and your creative energy so much that you might have actually been not lazy and not unmotivated. Oh, what was that noise?
Lexi gave us finger hearts.
Oh,
and
thank you.
They're giving roses and finger hearts.
I was like, what's going on? Okay. You might actually be a much more motivated person than you think you are, but because you're with someone who talks to you in a way that puts you down all the time, it's so emotionally draining that you can't put any of that energy into what you would want to do with your life. Or you don't actually, there's nothing you want to do and you want to just be happy. And how are you going to be happy with someone who's calling you lazy for just wanting to live your life?
Yeah.
You could do better.
Amine said hello. Shima said hello, gorgeous Virgo.
Hello. Anyone else a Virgo?
Mish said how to break a trauma bond.
I wouldn't try to break it. The thing is, yes, you do have a connection with people that you've gone through something with. Just realize that you're always going to maintain emotions for someone that you've been with. So I think if you try and fight that emotional connection, it's going to make you look too much into it. It's going to make you think too much about it and read too much into it and think, there must be something there because of the fact that I'm still feeling something for them. You're just going to feel something for them. And it's not a big deal. We all, have many connections with people in our past.
Ashima said, is it okay that most of our discussions end with an argument? A couple for 5 years.
I mean, it's normal, but it's not fun.
I guess it's normal in the world right now, but it's not ideal, obviously. And it shouldn't be happening. Definitely shouldn't be happening.
In the sense that if you want to be happy and you want the relationship to work, then you should do things to make it so that doesn't happen. I would say because you're the one who seems to be concerned about it, be the one to take the lead in that. And if you feel like you're not sure why it's always leading to an argument, like I said before, ask your partner, what am I saying that's triggering you? Because I don't want to fight anymore. Yeah. And even at that, like, there's so much association with even having a conversation leading to an argument that they might start to get defensive. Just work on not letting that trigger you. Do not let their anger cause anger in you. And you be the one to break the momentum of that cycle and really get them down to a point where they're telling you how you can communicate with them, and then you can work on telling them how they could better communicate with you.
Riley said, what can you do to make it easier on yourself when you first go no contact? You ever done that? I'm curious. You ever gone no contact with someone?
Yes, 100%. Okay. I don't understand how people break up and then stay in contact if you're planning to not be in the relationship anymore. The best way to deal with the breakup is to go no contact. Yeah. Because you're constantly going to be reminded of your connection if you're just talking to them.
Yeah, definitely.
Because you're always going to have that trigger of, oh, I want to tell them this. If you can, then you're going to. And then it's going to confuse everything. If you're not planning to actually have a clean break and never see them again and really not maintain the relationship anymore, then do not talk to them anymore.
As far as like what makes it easier, I think it's recognizing that the emotions that you're feeling are very biased towards wanting to make you feel better. So you're going to be thinking about certain situations that you were with this, where you're going to pass by something and be like, oh, I remember this cute time, because your brain doesn't want to keep reminding you of all the terrible things that were happening. It's all like, oh, it was like really, really good, you know, trying to make you happy in a way. So you're not going to reinforce all the negative things that were going on. And when you do start thinking about the happy moments, you have to kind of like push yourself into zooming out of that and being like, okay, yeah, that was a little happy moment that I had. But for 90% of the time, I wasn't happy. And I think what Casiah said in one of her videos is really good, is like, you know, having that calendar, marking down, you're broken up now, so maybe do it in like a retrospective way of like how many months you went through your relationship where you were actually happy and how many that you were unhappy. And it's just kind of like a constant reminder of why you did what you did and why you're no longer with that person.
Yeah. And also what you were saying about your brain wants to think of the positive things. So when you break up with someone, you're in a state of withdrawal from them. You're in a state of withdrawal from the emotions that they gave you. So your brain is actually going to push you back into being back with them. Your brain is going to push you into getting back the source of those feelings. So it's going to show you all the things that made you feel positive instead of the things that are going to made you feel negative.
This is why it's one of the hardest things to do. It's because you're being pulled back by your actual body chemistry. So like, hey, like think about, you know, get back into that, the cuddling and the feelings and all that.
And the reason that happens is because humans, once you start having intercourse, your body releases hormones that make you feel very happy, make you feel in love, make you feel really good, so that you stay together, because your body assumes that you guys are about to make a child. And in order for that child to survive, you two need to be together to raise that child, to feed it, and, you know.
And the reason, you know, we're explaining it to you in this way, because it sounds very like, you know, scientific and logical, is because you have to actually change your thinking to get through this in the positive way. Because if you change your thinking, you start thinking about this in like almost like a dull way, and realizing how primitive your thoughts and your actions are, then you take the power away from it. So now you're not thinking in this way of like, oh, this grand love that you've lost, but you can, for at least a little while, think about it as this hormonal change that's happening in your life.
Yeah, right? It has so much less power over you when you just, because you can completely separate yourself from the emotions at that point when you realize where they're coming from.
Yeah. Basma said, thank you so much, both of you. Love you both. And I'll start doing the healing. I guess it was meant to be for me to watch this today and be here.
Absolutely. We love you guys.
And she's a Virgo.
Oh, I knew it. I had a feeling.
She's a Virgo. She's going to be fine.
Yeah, you will be fine. Virgos feel a lot, but we can also like be very cold. We can cut it off.
How to get over ex baby daddy that had a baby with someone else quickly after?
Realize that he is just obsessed with his base needs and he can't control himself, I would say. I mean, definitely to me, that is the way to get over it, is to realize that he immediately just had a baby with someone else. What kind of guy are you? And no, I get, no, it's your baby daddy, so like, you know, but I would not think of that person in a romantic way, because they are the type of person that is always going to hurt someone. And is like, I don't know if they did it in an irresponsible way. So they're either irresponsible or they just are.
He hid 2 new children from me and doesn't know I know about the second one. Yeah, I mean.
Let's just get over this guy right away.
Yeah.
I don't think anything more needs to be said. Like he's not a good guy.
Yeah. Riley said, thank you guys. Love your videos. You helped me break up from a narcissistic relationship. Day 3 of no contact.
Oh, okay.
The calendar trick was a game changer. That's great.
I love it.
New2 said hi from France. I don't know what that flag is.
Oh, you're looking at a flag. I'm not good at flags either. Honestly,
please keep doing what you're doing. You're one of the people who saved my life.
Oh.
Wow. That's nice.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna keep it going. I've always been compelled to like help people in a way, because I'm really empathetic and I feel other people's pain. I know a lot of people that have passed away from like, you know, substances and things like that. Even like, you know, I probably can't say that word on here, from unhappiness, and I've gone through it too. So I know there's not a lot of resources out there. So definitely happy to do it. Just guys, please follow me on Instagram, because that is where I'm able to update about when we're going to be going live, because we always say we're going to do it this time and then something happens. Not always, you know. We do what we can, but then...
And there's going to be a link at the bottom of her TikTok that like lets you just set a reminder. So
The bottom of my TikTok?
no, like in the bio.
In the bio.
Sorry. Just set a reminder.
This is why I said follow me on Instagram. We
I'm an old
can't
man.
trust this man.
Do you think the going back till you hate him method works?
Going back to you hate him method?
The going back till you hate him method works. I didn't know that was a method.
Like stay with him until you hate him? Yes. Not hate. I remember I was with a guy. The reason I left him is because I realized that he definitely deserved to be respected for what he did. And I just wasn't the one. I didn't have respect for him anymore. And I knew he really deserved someone who thought highly of him. When I realized that I didn't respect him anymore, I stepped out, basically not stepped out on the relationship, but I decided to leave. So it's not necessarily about hating that person, but there's definitely something to be said for staying with someone until you feel like you have done absolutely everything you could possibly do to make it work and it's not working.
Yeah. So I guess, yeah.
Yeah, basically until you fall out of love with them. That's definitely a good time to leave the relationship.
Jaleesa said how to build trust in a relationship.
I don't think you can build trust. I think you could just maintain it from the beginning and not break it.
Yeah, 100%. I don't think maybe I've seen it a couple of times where it marginally worked, but it's hard to regain trust.
It's really hard. Now, depending on what it is, say someone broke your trust, they have to give you as much time as you need for you to believe that they've changed. Because if you start to feel like they're impatient with you about how you feel about the situation, then you're never going to get over it.
Definitely.
So they need to do things like whatever they need to change while you are in the process of feeling more comfortable about giving them whatever liberties it is, then they need to be down for that.
Definitely.
As long as it's going to take.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of questions that we haven't gotten to. And a lot of topics we still want to talk about. So we're going to talk about it next time. Also, if there's any situations that you want us to cover, or if there's any videos that you want to be like clipped into shorts that end up like doing well, and then you can show it to your partner and be like, hey, look, it's not just me. You could DM her or join the live on Tuesday. Just ask your questions. But thank you guys. Thank you guys so much. And I'll be sitting here while he goes and turns off the live. Just do something funny. Do a little TikTok dance. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to play a song and you're going to do a TikTok dance. No, imagine if that's how we ended the lives.